Hello and welcome. In this lecture, we are going to create a version of your first C# program using Visual Studio IDE. The IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. So we're going to create exactly the same application we created using the text editor from the Visual Studio IDE. So let's get going. So let's launch Visual Studio. So I'll go to my start menu and look for Visual Studio and go Visual Studio 2015. So I just double click. Where's my Visual Studio? I can't find it. Oh, there it is right here. Okay, so I'll click Visual Studio 2015 to launch the Visual Studio. So this is what Visual Studio looks like when it is launched. So I need to create a console app. So I go to File, I go New, go Project, and I should get a list of templates which will give me a guide as to the type of project I want to create. So it's initializing the template. So these are the various Visual Studio template. So what I need to do here, where's got Visual C#, I need to have that highlighted. And here I need to click Console App. That means it will display the application in a console. So I've got Console App there. And then here is giving it a default name. I'm just going to change that and type in Hello World, and notice it's put the solution name there as well, as same as the name. I just click OK and it should generate some basic code for me. Excellent. So this, all I've done is just name the file, and Visual Studio has automatically created some basic code for me. These here, they are all classes. Where it's got using, that means is using these classes. Notice when we created using the text editor, we had to use system dot, but here you don't, we're not going to use that because it's already defined here. Well, if it says using, that means you're using the system class. These are all various classes. All right, so we are going to write our code in between these curly braces here. So I just tab down, and in between there is where we're going to write our code. Notice this yellow strip here. That means you have code that you have not saved. That's what it's trying to tell you. All right, so we've got the basic, this is a namespace, what we call the application. So I'm going to write just basically 2 lines of code. It's going to be console, which means it's a console app. Notice this menu here. This is called IntelliSense. It's built into Visual Studio. It kind of like gives you a guide as to what you're trying to type. So it tries to detect or guess what you're trying to type and gives you suggestions. So I'm going to type in console. Notice it's got console there. So I just click on that. Console dot right line. Notice it's already got a right line there in the library. Okay, so console.writeLine, and then I put parentheses, open and close. In between the parentheses, I'll type in the word hello world. I put exclamation there. All right, and then I put a semicolon there, and then I tab down. Next line, I will do console again. See, IntelliSense is helping me there. Console makes me write the code faster. Read line, notice here. And then I put opening parentheses and then a semicolon. So my code is basically done. So I need to save my code. So I need to see this bunch of folders here. I click save and it's turned green, which means it has been saved. On the left here is what we call a solution explorer. So when you create a project in Visual Studio, it creates a kind of like solution for the project. That's the name of the project. The solution is called Hello World, which is the name of the project. The actual project name, the C# folder is called, or the application, notice it's got C# here, it's called Hello World. And these are the various properties linked. But we won't go into details of that at the moment. The focus of this is just to create a very basic console app. So all we've done here, we've created 2 lines of code. This is the only thing we've done here. Now, we don't have to manually compile like we did when we're using the text editor. That's the difference here. The Visual Studio IDE makes things so simple. So what we do to compile it, we just hit this button here that says start, and it will compile the code. That's it. So it's building the code, tells you here build started. So it's building it. And once it does that, it will display the result in the console. Bam, that's it. You see the difference between doing it this way and doing it via the text editor. The text editor is manual process and it's painful, and it's also prone to errors. But using the Visual Studio is less hassle and you're less prone to errors. Okay, so that's our application. This is just some diagnostic, monitoring the application and stuff, seeing what we're using within the application. Is basically monitoring the memory. All right, so you can click X to escape the application. So the application has stopped running. So in this lecture, we have successfully created a very simple console app using Visual Studio IDE. Thank you so much for watching, and bye for now.